Hello and welcome to Dolan Unfiltered. Great to see you. I hope all is well. Now, I've got three massive royal stories for you. First of all, Princess Diana versus Meghan Markle. These two women are now being compared. Well, I'll be giving my verdict. Also, King Charles makes a touching Easter message. But first, more bad headlines for the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, the world's least happy millionaire, the prodigal prince. Now, basically, it's around his charity Sentebale, which is proving to be a PR car crash in slow motion. So, shock allegations have emerged. The Duke lost interest in the African country of Lesotho, where his Sentebale charity was founded, immediately after marrying the Duchess of Sussex and moving to the US. So the allegation is that he was crazy passionate about Sentebale and its fantastic work in the community. It's all he cared about. He woke up in the morning thinking about it. He went to bed at night dreaming about it. And then he marries Meghan and couldn't care less. So according to an insider, the Duke's fading attention killed the spirit of the charity after he married Meghan in 2018 and after emigrating to the United States in 2020. Now, this is according to a very significant figure. It's the brother of Prince Ciso, who is the charity's co-founder. So in the end, was Sentebale a PR stunt for Harry? And if so, well, it's badly backfired. Was it an ego trip like Invictus, I wonder? Was Sentebale dreamt up by palace insiders, which is very much the allegation that's made about Invictus? People credit Harry with Invictus, but many say that at that time he was a very naughty boy, dressing up as dictators from history, getting drunk, chasing girls, and the firm decided we need Harry to have a bit of a kind of public rehabilitation of his image. So let's get him involved in Invictus, and similarly, let's do Sentebale. Now, I've got no evidence to prove that, and many argue that the H-bomb, Harry, my husband, in fact, was very passionate about Sentebale and is very passionate about Invictus. I think the problem with Invictus is that he's made it all about him and his wife turning up to the opening ceremony of Invictus year after year, walking ahead of the injured personnel in a sort of fancy white outfit as though she's somehow the most important person there. And with Harry making really bombastic speeches about respect with a subtle dig at, Trump and whoever else that he doesn't like this week. Who is Harry to tell anyone about respect? So I feel that Harry's reputation in regards to Invictus is diminished, right? Invictus is a great, great thing. It's injured servicemen and women competing in sporting competitions. It's a great thing. But I think it's been eroded by Harry's recent bad headlines. So you have to wonder whether Sentebale will suffer the same fate. It was co-founded by Prince Harry and Prince Ciso of Lesotho in 2006, inspired by Harry's mother, Princess Diana, to support children affected by HIV in Lesotho and Botswana. The name Sentebale means forget-me-not in Sesotho. Well, forget-me-not, that's ironic, isn't it? Because it appears, according to the brother of the co-founder, Harry completely forgot about the charity the moment he married Meghan Markle. Just think of all of the bad things that have happened to Harry since he met that lady. I mean, seriously, he's fallen out with his family, fallen out with his country, left the UK, given up his royal duties, and now he lives a bored existence in Montecito, California. Allegations of Prince Harry losing interest are multiple. So Chief Kobana Teko, brother of Prince Ciso, that's the guy that's made these claims that Harry's loss of interest killed the spirit of the charity. He said he'd not seen Harry since he married Meghan in 2018. He was perturbed that Harry and Meghan took holidays in Africa, for example, in Botswana, but didn't visit Lesotho. Well, I mean, this is the same Prince Harry that comes to the UK and he's about an hour's drive from his cancer-ridden father and doesn't make the visit. And don't give me that guff about how Charles is not taking his phone calls. He knows where his dad is. I would, you know what, even if my dad was rejecting me, I would drive to my dad's house and I would picket outside. I'd have placards and a loudhailer saying, "Dad, let me in, I love you. I'm really sorry, please forgive me." By the way, cheers, we've got the decaf on the go. This is my mug today. It's another big one. It's called Dad Power, which I got on Father's Day. But here's the embarrassing thing. I bought it because I like really big mugs, and because I'm 6'5", so I feel it's in proportion, and I'm all about volume, as Mrs. Dolan will tell you. And please behave yourselves. This is my mug, but I bought it because I thought it was big. My kids did not buy me the Father's Day mug. How pathetic is that? Although I think my kids do quite like me, and let me say that having kids is the best thing I've ever done. So there you go. By the way, do you want to know my kids' names? They're called Archie and Lilibet. Isn't that nice? Oh, my husband. So let's crack on with this because it's an important story. Oh, my husband. I like Princess Catherine. She is my friend. Upon her, I wish no harm. We'll get to Meghan in a minute. Meghan versus Diana. Is that any kind of contest? Okay, stay focused, folks, because we've got work to do. He said that it's very strange that Harry stepped down from the charity, saying that it was linked to Diana's legacy. Why has he given up on the charity? Well, of course, that is true. I think that he should have stuck with the charity, right? If you found an organization and it's mired in controversy, don't you stick it out and make it work. Harry's got nothing better to do. All he does, he's got one of those fishing rod things, like those a net with which he removes leaves from the swimming pool of the house in Montecito. That's all he does. Plus he cleans the toilets, and he gets his hands, he's got one of those metal scourer things, and he digs into the toilet to get rid of all of the CRAP, of which there's a lot in that house. 16 toilets, by the way. He spends all day with his arms up a piston. So he's got nothing to do. Why isn't he? If I was the founder of a charity in Africa, especially if I had his unlimited funds, I would visit that charity 2 to 3 times a year, right? Not once in 6 years. Do me a favor and don't blame the pandemic. Okay, it was his charity. He put his name to it. He got all the good headlines. Oh, I'm Prince Harry. I founded Sentebale. Then he marries Meghan. The allegation from this well-placed source is that he immediately lost interest in the whole thing once he met Meghan. And what an insult, by the way, to visit Africa and not go to the neighboring country of Lesotho. And it's not like they're not afraid of air miles, those two. They love an airplane, in spite of their deep concerns about climate change. So this quitting of Harry follows serious allegations from the most recent chairman of the organisation, which is Sophie Chandauka, who strikes me as a very nice lady. She accused the board of bullying, harassment and misogynoir, which is a mixture of prejudice and sexism. This poor woman sounds like she's been through hell. And she accuses Harry of bullying based upon his behaviour, based upon the fact that he's quit the charity and thrown her and the existing board under the bus. I'm so sorry, big guy. It's your name on the letterhead, right? It's your name at the top of the building. You've actually got to man up and take responsibility for your failing charity. Don't just waltz away from it because it's not as sexy as it once was. I mean, I'd think that his involvement in the charity has now done more harm than good. He shouldn't have bothered starting it in the first place, given the fact that it's been mired in such controversy. So, for example, well, first of all, you won't believe this. This very nice lady called Sophia. Sorry, I've got to get her name right because it's very important. Otherwise, she'll accuse me of being an outrageous person. Her name is, can you tell this is improvised, by the way? Sophie Chandauka. Okay, and this is quite extraordinary. She said that Harry asked her to release a statement in support of Meghan, which, as a woman of principle, she refused to do. So Harry's trying to allegedly use this charity as a sort of PR platform for Meghan Markle's reputation, which, let me tell you, is as unsalvageable as the Titanic. All right? In fact, rescuing the Titanic that's like a sort of quick fishing trip compared to rescuing Meghan's reputation, which is, it's over, isn't it? It's over. But anyway, so she asked Harry to release a statement in support of, Harry asked her to do that. Also, she cites an awkward interaction with Meghan at a polo match in 2024, where Meghan allegedly told her to move away from Harry. Well, that wouldn't surprise me. Step away from my husband, please. Can you keep a 6-meter distance from H? Because he's a member of the royal family. I like Catherine. She is my friend. Upon her, I wish no harm. So the whole thing's crazy. The whole thing is wild. And can I just say, to be fair to the H-bomb, my husband, that Harry denies these allegations and said it's horrible lies. And it's important that he has a right to reply. But those are the allegations that have been made. Harry says the situation is heartbreaking and has said the blatant lies hurt those who have supported the charity for years. The charity has been, it's been beyond category. It might be, Sentebale might be the worst charity in history. Workers in residence in Lesotho said the charity failed to deliver on promises of permanent local jobs, failed to provide community access to land and facilities as initially pledged. And here's the other one. The community were promised a football field and a firewood area. All of it went, none of it fulfilled. Many were told to stay away during Harry's visits. Can you imagine? Well, of course, he's got to be around beautiful people like George Clooney and the Obamas and Oprah and Gayle King. Sorry, Oprah and Stedman. And there weren't uniforms. The whole thing's a shambles. The money side of it, by the way, I'm going to get on to Meghan versus Diana in just a second. But the money side of it, first of all, actually on Meghan, did you know that Meghan's never been to Lesotho? Can you imagine being married to someone who has founded a charity and you don't accompany him to a trip? Even when they were in love, which many of you think was never the case, you would expect the two to, well, yeah, even basically Meghan doesn't like traveling with Harry. I mean, she stopped traveling with him altogether now. The fact that she jetted off early before Valentine's Day after Invictus is insane. These guys have an unlimited childcare budget, and she doesn't stick around for an extra 48 hours to celebrate Valentine's with her husband. Make it make sense. That's wild, isn't it? So I mean, has she gone off Harry? I don't know. We're going to do a deep dive on that. What is the state of their marriage? But I mean, you can just look at the actions which speak louder than words. She doesn't travel with Harry almost ever. She's got plans later in April, which I'll tell you about, which don't involve Harry in New York City and beyond. The poor guy he's been unceremoniously cancelled by his wife, hasn't this cancellation by stealth. Anyway, so Meghan's never been to Lesotho. I can't believe that you would not visit your husband's charity, especially if you're such a fan of Africa, which she is. The couple frequently holidayed in Africa, Botswana, South Africa. Meghan stayed in Cape Town in 2019. Did she pop over to Lesotho? A couple of hours on a plane? Good luck with that. Do me a favor. Harry traveled around other African countries, but not Lesotho, where their charity is based. And of course, the couple made that notorious documentary during the trip, which included Meghan's famous "No one asks me if I'm okay." Do you remember that? No one asks me if I'm okay. I'm only a multi-millionaire Hollywood actress married to a prince. And I have a Montecito house with 16 bathrooms and 2.5 million acres of land where I make my jam. But nobody asks me how I am and if I'm okay. Last thing on Sentebale, the money side. This makes Bernard Madoff look like an honest, upstanding man. 2006 to 2008, the charity raised over £1.15 million, right? That's approaching $1.5 million based upon what the exchange rate is right now. And that was obviously, to be fair, that was off Harry's name. He's a name. Direct aid to projects, £84,000. So let's do it in US dollars. $1.5 million raised, $100,000 goes to good causes. The rest, staff salaries, $200K, $100K on website development, $50,000 on 4x4 vehicles. The guy running the charity, not my lovely friend Sophia, £100,000, $130,000 a year. That's a salary, and he had housemaids, accommodation, and his kids were privately educated overseas. It's just wild. So the whole thing's been a disaster, a horrible PR disaster for Harry. It is The gift that keeps on giving, or the nightmare that won't end, Sente Bali. But that's the problem, you see. If you attach yourself to virtue signaling projects to look like a good person, you have to see it through. Otherwise, it will bite you on the bum. And I've got to say, Harry is in big trouble with Invictus. He's going to have to sort himself out with that one, because it could be a great legacy for him. But he's got to make sure that the event is not about him and Meghan. And she should never walk ahead of the injured personnel at a parade ever again, with her full able-bodied body, marching ahead of people in wheelchairs. I mean, the optics are just, I mean, tone deaf is one thing. Oh. Cheers. I wonder if I'm a little buzzy today, aren't I? I wonder if I've had too much. Can you overdose on decaf? Am I now such a lightweight that decaf makes me hyper? I mean, what hope is there for me? Let's get on to my next big story. I've got two really big stories to come. King Charles's amazing Easter message. But first, Princess Diana versus Meghan Markle, my husband. So, Richard Kay, who I greatly respect, he's of course a legendary royal journalist, and he's been talking to the Daily Mail's Palace Confidential, which is an excellent YouTube channel, which I would highly recommend. My favourite royal channels, Dan Wootton is outstanding. You've also got Neil Sean and the Daily Mail's Palace Confidential, Kinsey Schofield as well, my darling friend Kinsey Schofield, who I must get on the show. I would like to do some interviews, by the way, but there's just always so much for these unfiltered. But we will do some interviews. To Die For Daily, Kinsey Schofield. Right, so look, here's the thing. Richard Kay, he knows his onions. A close friend of Princess Diana, the last person she spoke to before her death in 1997. Did you know that I worked at the radio station owned by Mohammed Al Fayed? And I was working as a producer there when the news broke that she died. And that changed my life. And I was a cub reporter at that point. I was just days into my broadcasting career. And we got this bombshell news, which was actually broken by a friend of mine called Mike Parry, who is a formidable British journalist. And it changed my life because I had to overnight deal with this big story. I think I was the only person, a producer in the building when the story broke, because it was in the evening. And there was a very low budget radio station called 963 Liberty. And it changed my life because I had to deal with that story. I had to grow up overnight, really, and deal with that. And then the next day I was outside Harrods and also Buckingham Palace interviewing members of the public who were devastated by what had happened. Of course they were. So Richard Kay, I'll tell you more about that when on a future video, because in many ways the Diana story shaped my early broadcasting career. So Richard Kay knew Diana. He's on the Mail's Palace Confidential. He said Diana would have found Meghan intriguing and possibly even liberating. He said Diana may have admired Meghan's independence and the fact that she offered Harry an escape route from royal duties. Can I just be blunt with you? Because I'll always say it like it is. I've never heard so much rubbish in my life. He's a great guy. He's a great journalist. He knew Diana. What's he on about? She would detest Meghan Markle. How could she possibly find someone that has destroyed her son's relationship refreshing and liberating? The hatred, the animosity, the opprobrium, I'm running out of words, between Harry and William is unparalleled, especially from William's point of view. William is incandescent, okay? I think that Charles is disappointed, sad, maybe even heartbroken. William's angry. Oof, is he angry? So the idea that Diana would sanction Meghan's behavior, not at all. Now, Kay is making this point because he points out that Diana loved America, which, by the way, I do. Oh, my God. I love America. By the way, I love Australia. Do you know what? There isn't a country in the world I don't love. We haven't got time for this. Let's crack on. I'll tell you. We'll do a whole video, countries that Dolan likes. She was interested in America, and she considered moving to America towards the end of her life. She told Kay at the time that she was interested in living in New York or California, feeling she would have been freer there. She ultimately didn't move due to wanting to stay close to Harry and William. Well, that is the point. That is the difference between Meghan Markle and Diana. is Diana was a family person and she would never have left the country because she wanted to be with her boys. And Meghan, if she was like Diana, would never have wanted to break up the royal family. And she would have thought, I love my husband and I don't want him to be at war with his father, his stepmother, his sister-in-law, and his brother. It wouldn't. If I was Meghan and my Mrs. Dolan was Harry, I could never preside over that level of emotional destruction. I couldn't do it. Kay, this guy, Richard Kay, he said that Diana admired how Hollywood celebrities could live relatively unhindered in the US and believed she could have done the same. I don't think so. I think she would have been bored out of her mind, as Harry now is. And I won't have any favourable comparisons between Meghan and Diana. Okay, Diana never did anything to damage the royal family as a family or the institution of the monarchy. Okay, so for example, Diana grew up on the Queen's Sandringham estate. The Queen had known her since she was a child, considered her like family. So Diana grew up understanding the royal family and admiring it. She received support during her marital struggles from key figures in the royal family. Diana viewed the Queen as a marital referee and sought her intervention during her troubled marriage to Charles. So can we put a lid on this idea that the Queen was not empathetic and caring towards Diana? In fact, Diana once had an emotional breakdown in front of the Queen, and the Queen was very caring about it. Diana at that time felt completely isolated. It's a lie that Queen Elizabeth was not caring towards Diana. And don't forget, as I reported on this show just a few days ago, it was the Queen that was furious with her son King Charles for his alleged, not so alleged, adultery. Also, this will tell you everything you need to know about what the Queen thought of Diana. At Diana's funeral, the Queen broke royal protocol by bowing her head as Diana's coffin passed. An incredible gesture of respect. The idea that the monarch, the Queen of the United Kingdom, would bow her head to someone else. I mean, if that's not respect, I don't know what is. Do you think Meghan would bow her head? She wouldn't bow her head for anybody, except maybe herself. She would bow her head in front of the mirror going, "You're amazing." Oh no, I shouldn't show you too much of my hair. Look at it. Apparently it's, I'm going bald. I don't think so. It was described as a walnut whip comb over recently. How dare they? At least I've washed it. Things are going up on this channel. Now, look, folks, that's it. Diana loved Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. During Diana's marital difficulties, Prince Philip wrote endless letters, offering guidance and expressing his desire to help. Diana appreciated his efforts, noting his great understanding and tact, and signed her replies with affection. She loved the Queen. She respected the monarchy. She loved her husband, King Charles, we know that, and she loved Philip. There was a bond between the two of them. So, there's no comparison. Meghan came in. She's an upstart. She's a troublemaker. She's an S-disturber, as you Americans would say. And of course she is. We know that. She's a destructive person. She's a wrecking ball, as young Miley Cyrus would have sung. And therefore, she would never have done that. Look, Diana did the Panorama interview, which was revealing about there are 3 people in this marriage. My defense of Diana there is that was not the same as the book Spare or the Meghan and Harry Netflix documentary or the Oprah interview on US TV. Not comparable because Diana was tricked into doing that interview by a very unethical journalist called Martin Bashir, who basically cooked up allegations and lies in order to convince her that she was somehow being, bad-mouthed in certain quarters. So Bashir was a wrong one, and she was tricked into that interview. And even in the interview and in other comments, she never attacked the monarchy. She never said a word her whole life, not a syllable against the Queen or Prince Philip. And the principle of the royal family, none of that. She admired it. Her criticism was of her husband, who was adulterous. That is not the same. That is not Meghan Markle 2.0. So Diana versus Meghan, it is 10-0 to lovely, lovely Diana. I'll give you more on Diana versus Meghan on future shows because I think it's a rich seam of discussion. Before we go, Are you looking forward to Easter? I like Easter. It's like Christmas without the hassle and expense, isn't it? You don't have to buy everyone presents, just maybe some flowers for your mother and the Easter eggs for the kids. I used to love Easter eggs. I basically used to give myself sort of overnight diabetes on Easter Sunday, eating my own body weight in milk chocolate eggs. Happy memories of that. None of these teeth are my own, but it was worth it. Of course they are. Okay, before we go, Charles has made a lovely statement regarding Easter. And so let me read it to you. This show is very live, and therefore let me just fire up my internet search engine because I want to tell you. Charles Easter, come on, let's do this. And you'll be very happy with what he's had to say. Let me just call it up right here. Okay, here we go. King Charles. Oh dear. Technical issues. Sorry, folks. Stick with me. By the way, I will see you tomorrow for another Unfiltered. That's going to be Good Friday. I hope you'll be available for that. Yes, I've managed to make the technology work. King Charles has issued an Easter message of trying to build bridges between different faiths and recognizing the efforts of those who provide humanitarian aid in wars and disasters. One of the puzzles of our humanity, he says, is how we are capable of both great cruelty and great kindness. Is he talking about Meghan? The King said in a message ahead of the traditional Maundy service held this year in Durham Castle that hopefully the world can be united around the Easter message. The King and Queen are attending the service, at which specially minted coins, the Maundy money, are presented to 76 men and women, the same number as the King's age. The King has promoted links between different religions, and this Christian message also praises the goodness in the Jewish and Islamic faiths. See, that's what he wants to do. He wants to bring people together because that is his nature. And more power to him. What a guy, by the way. Since he got cancer, which we pray that he's able to recover from, the guy has not stopped, has he? He's had engagements all over the place. The guy has been busy. So, look, folks, there you go. I want to thank you so much for your support of this channel. Do subscribe if you haven't had a chance because it helps me to get the message out there. And also, please hit the notification bell. And I hope you go and have a great day. Let me know your thoughts about the show. What do you like? What don't you like? Tell me in the comments. Be honest, because this channel belongs to you. Okay, and it's why I'm here. This is our journey. This is our show. It's the Mark Dolan Show. It's Dolan Unfiltered. And you're basically in the boardroom. You are around that boardroom table. You're invested in this. So let me know what you love. Let me know what you don't love. And I'll see you tomorrow for another Dolan Unfiltered.